Hi, welcome along. I've read a lot about different ceremonies and actually heard about one the other day, which I didn't go to, but where people were stinging themselves with nettle. And I'm asking myself, why would you want to do that? The phrase that came to me is bear the unbearable. In one sense, the sting is unbearable because it really does hurt. But you can bear it. It's okay, you're not going to die, and it can be kind of invigorating. I feel in the energy of nettle, the essence of nettle, the spirit of nettle, which is what I'm most interested in connecting with. There is this real spirit of being able to confront the unbearable. And by unbearable, I don't mean like abuse or real core current grief and things that are genuinely kind of unbearable. I just mean those things that we might try and numb away, like sadness or anxiety or a real core unhappiness or loneliness. Sometimes it's very tempting and sometimes quite reasonable to try and numb that pain. Brené Brown talks about it a lot, how we try and numb. And, we might try and numb with, watching lots of television or drinking lots of alcohol or, substance abuse or shopping or arguing or any number of things that kind of numb the pain of where we're at. I'm currently on a really long journey with nettle. I'm on a 40-day journey. So I'm spending a day every day with the plant for at least sort of half an hour, sometimes even 2 hours, just contemplating and drinking the tea, inviting nettle into my life. And I find with these 40-day journeys, I see them a little bit like a book with an overarching theme. And then each day is kind of a chapter. And what I find pretty much always actually, is things come to me that challenge me or teach me something about the plant. And one of these things has been this unbearability and bearing it. And I had an experience where I did a week retreat, not just a week ago. Within that, something came up for me personally. And it was sort of quite a deep wound from childhood, almost from being a baby, really. And the perception I had was of rejection, that I've been rejected at some point. And it doesn't really matter whether it's true or not. But as a little child, I became aware of that need to be accepted. And rather than receive a no, which was my perception, I could receive more of a yes. And I sort of became aware of this small part of me that was wanting to get a yes, whether that's a yes from life or yes from people. And me facing that was kind of unbearable. It was kind of shameful, embarrassing, like, oh, there's a part of me that really is not comfortable with that. Something about drinking the nettle each day, it made me realise, and maybe this is the parable or the metaphor of the stinging, that I can face these things. I can face these inner, should we call them demons or inner limitations? It's a very narrow window into nettle because it's not a lot more than this, but I'm really, really interested in this stinging and how on some level I would do everything I can to avoid getting stung by nettle. Yet in certain circumstances, some people are seeking out those stings. And it strikes me a bit like, when people have cold showers, it's invigorating, I mean, when I have a cold shower, I'm a bit like, oh my God, I kind of don't want to be in there. But afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah, I overcame that. And there's something about nettle, about overcoming this unbearability. And it strikes me that maybe nettle could be used for some of us who want to stop some of these things that are numbing. If I'm feeling a certain way, sadness, loneliness, anxiety, whatever, I just find it fascinating that maybe within this plant, there's some sort of a soothing with that. Some sort of soothing we can receive from a plant. I'm always a bit wary when I talk about these things. Sometimes I just think it sounds a bit wacky, but really I can present this in a very kind of scientific way, or I can just say, well, do you know what? For me, nettle really does have a soul, a spirit, an essence. And the more I commune with plants, the more I really feel that. Now, whether that is an actual spirit, as in there's the spirit of nettle and it's communicating with me, or whether it's a wider kind of essence or a wider kind of energy of nettle that, I'm inviting in and I communicate with it in that way, it doesn't really matter. I'm really struck with nettle making the unbearable bearable. And maybe as someone is trying to numb a bit less and confront whatever that demon is, a bit like I had to confront this inner part of myself. If we have this wish to confront why we're numbing and maybe talk about it, go get, do some therapy, do our meditation, if we can stop the numbing, we can let the root cause of it is to well up inside us. And that's where I guess the stamina is needed. I think of that film, is it 28 Days with Sandra Bullock? You know, where she goes into detox or recovery, stop drinking and stop taking the drugs. And at that point, clean herself up in a way. And it's really not till the therapy and the sharing a circle that enables her to confront that. And that maybe is not a perfect analogy, but it kind of, it feels like Nettle's in that area. And I know it seems a bit weird to just drink Nettle tea and connect with Nettle to help you, but I do feel the spirit of Nettle is there for us if we'd like to engage with it. See you next time.